I found my wife in the kitchen at 2 a.m., not crying, not moving, just standing there, staring at a half-empty bottle of milk, like her mind had completely shut down. Her hands were shaking so badly she had to grip the counter just to stay upright. The fridge light flickered faintly, casting this cold, pale glow across her face, and for a second, she didn't even notice I was there. That's when something hit me in the chest, hard. My wife isn't the type to break. She's the strong one, the one who remembers everything: birthdays, doctor appointments, school meetings, grocery lists, where I left my keys 5 minutes ago. Everything. She's the system behind our life, the glue. But standing there in that moment, she didn't look strong. She looked like glass that had already shattered, somehow still standing. I didn't ask her what was wrong. That question felt stupid, useless, because the answer wasn't one thing. I gently took the milk from her hands. Her skin was ice cold. Not just cold from the night, but the kind of cold that comes from being completely drained. "Come on," I whispered. She didn't resist, didn't argue, didn't even speak. She just followed me back to bed, like her body was on autopilot. I tucked her in, pulled the blanket over her shoulders, and stood there for a second longer than I needed to, just watching her breathe. Then I walked back to the kitchen, and that's when I finally saw it. Not just the mess, but what it meant. A pile of laundry, half folded, like she'd started and then just stopped. Dishes in the sink, dried food clinging to them like they'd been sitting there for hours. The kids' bags still unpacked from school. And then there was the list, pinned to the fridge. At first glance, it looked normal, just a to-do list. But the longer I stared at it, the more it looked like a map of exhaustion. Every hour accounted for, every task stacked on top of another. No space, no break, no margin for being human, no space for her. And suddenly, I felt something twist inside me, because I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit before. This wasn't just happening to her. This was happening because of all of us, because of me. I wasn't a bad husband. I never yelled. I never demanded things. I thought I was doing my part, but the truth? I was comfortable. I let her handle everything because she always had. I waited for her to ask for help, like that made me a good partner. But asking is work. Asking means she has to stop, think, delegate, explain, manage me on top of everything else. And I had made that her job too. That realization sat heavy in my chest as I rolled up my sleeves. I didn't go back to bed that night. I started with the laundry, one shirt at a time, folding slowly, carefully, noticing how small the kids' clothes felt in my hands, how routine this must have been for her. Then the dishes, scrubbing dried macaroni off pots that should have been cleaned hours ago. The sound of the sponge against metal felt louder in the silence, like it was echoing everything I hadn't been hearing before. I packed the kids' school bags, checked their homework, signed a permission slip I didn't even know existed, made lunches for the next day, and with every task, something kept clicking into place. This wasn't helping. This was survival. Her survival. By the time I was done, the kitchen looked calm. Not perfect, but peaceful. And for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like something was waiting to be done. When she woke up, she didn't say anything at first. She just walked into the kitchen and stopped. Her eyes moved slowly. Counter, sink, bags by the door. Then she looked at me. Really looked. And then she exhaled, not a normal breath, a deep, shaky release, like she'd been holding it in for years. And finally, just her, the girl I married. And it hit me all over again. She wasn't breaking because of one bad night. She was breaking because she had been carrying everyone for too long. And that's when I realized something else. The house wasn't the only problem. It was everything outside of it too. Her phone started buzzing before she even finished her coffee. Her sister. "Hey, can you pick up the kids today? I'm swamped." My wife instinctively reached for the phone. I picked it up first, typed, "She's not available today. You'll have to handle it." Sent. She looked at me surprised. "I can just..." "No," I said quietly. "You don't have to." It was a small moment, but it felt big. Then her mom called. "Can you organize dinner this weekend?" Again, I answered. We won't be hosting. You'll need to plan it. There was a pause on the other end, confusion, maybe even a little irritation. Good, because for the first time, someone was pushing back. Message after message came in over the next few days. Requests, favors, expectations disguised as quick asks. And every time, I stepped in, not aggressively, not rudely, just clearly, no. No long explanations, no apologies, just boundaries. At first, they didn't like it. Why is she acting different? She always helps. What's going on with her? But I ignored it because I finally understood something I should have understood a long time ago. They weren't relying on her. They were depending on her silence. A week later, her sister showed up at the house, unannounced, frustrated. What's going on? Why haven't you been helping anyone? My wife froze. I could see it happen in real time. That instinct to fix things, to smooth it over, to apologize for something that wasn't even her fault. But this time, she didn't speak, so I did. You rely on her, I said calmly. But who's been taking care of her? Her sister rolled her eyes. She's fine. She's always fine. I shook my head slowly. No, she's just been quiet. Silence filled the room, heavy, uncomfortable, real. For once, nobody rushed to fill it. And my wife? She didn't step in. She didn't apologize. She didn't shrink. She just stood there, and that was everything. Because the weight wasn't gone, but it had shifted, finally. Later that night, she sat next to me on the couch, quiet, and she leaned her head on my shoulder, something she hadn't done in a long time, and softly, almost like she didn't trust the words, she said, "Thank you." I didn't say anything back. I just held her hand. Because the truth is, this wasn't about one night, or one moment, or one conversation. It was about finally seeing what had been right in front of me the whole time. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's not about hurting people back. Sometimes it's about breaking the pattern that was hurting someone you love. It's about saying no when they're too tired to. It's about stepping in before they disappear completely under the weight of everything. And maybe the most powerful part, watching someone slowly come back to